I heard that when the body is embalmed, right, they take the blood and they sell it to black market blood dealers on the dark web in Colombia. Yeah, it's a thing. It's bad. Yeah, my buddy Todd, he worked on the show 6 Feet Under, and he told me you gotta watch out for morticians stealing your teeth. Like, they'll go in there with pliers and they'll pull out the gold teeth and they'll sell it to that store Zales. And then Zales, I mean, everything in that store has dead people gold in it.
Every ring, every bracelet, every necklace, and every pair of earrings.
If only there was someone we could ask.
The funeral industry has a bit of a reputation for secrecy, which means it's not only difficult to find out exactly what happens to our bodies behind the scenes when we die, but it's also difficult to find out what happens to the individual parts of our body that may have a different fate than the rest of our bodies. Take, for example, what was one of my most popular videos ever on what happens to hip, knee, and breast implants after you die. Socket from a replacement hip post-cremation. I'll link that for you to watch next, but if you can believe it, that was back in 2014 when I was still making videos answering death questions in my living room. I'm a 30-something woman who is still doing YouTube. That seems to be the life I've decided for myself. Bit of a review for well-educated deathlings. Here's what happens when a corpse is embalmed. In a dead body, the blood in the circulatory system is not circulating anymore. It's just sitting there like a stagnant pool because your heart isn't pumping. That blood is then pushed out of the body by pushing in and replacing it with a formaldehyde-based solution. The idea is that this formaldehyde solution will fix the tissues and keep the body preserved a little longer. Now, the blood that's been displaced, kicked out, exits the body via an opened vein, like a jugular vein. It runs down the table and goes down a regular old drain, like the ones connected to a sink or toilet. And where does that drained blood go?
Deep beneath the city streets, down in the shadowy sewers, lived the teenage mutant ninja.
Once the blood, water, and other waste, like poop and stomach contents for instance, from the embalming goes into the sewer system, it then goes to a wastewater treatment plant to be cleaned and sanitized. Then it's either released into the environment or reused for water in factories or farms. At first you might be like, Caitlin, is that safe? Corpse blood in our sewers? I need to speak to your manager. It's not that I don't understand hang-ups about corpse blood. Aside from the horror aspect of it, it's also been ingrained in us that blood is dangerous. And to some extent, that's not wrong. Living people can certainly transmit blood-borne pathogens to each other. And while the Center for Disease Control says the blood bank supply in the United States is safer than it's ever been, some diseases can still be transmitted by a blood or platelet transfusion. We all came of age in a modern world full of modern diseases and modern scientific knowledge of transmitting those diseases, so we naturally fear blood as a contaminant. And to be fair, when you say,
the blood of the dead,
it sounds pretty daunting. Cold, thick, rotting blood doesn't exactly scream, safe. But if I had to handle some random someone's blood, I'd much rather handle
the blood of the dead
than the blood of the living. The older, the deader, the better. That's because most pathogens can't live more than a few hours in a dead body. Even the rare virus like AIDS that actually can live for days inside a body after death can only survive for minutes once it leaves the body. Generally speaking, a dead person's diseased blood would have to be directly injected into a living person's bloodstream to infect them. And yes, accidents can happen and there have been bizarre situations, but just coming into contact with blood containing a pathogen won't immediately infect you. Even for the embalmer, standing right there as the blood is running down the table, we all know that the formaldehyde in the embalming fluid is more dangerous for embalmers than the body fluids. But let's be honest, dead people blood doesn't have to be diseased for us to be afraid of it. We do this all the time with dead bodies in general, turning them and everything about them into an immediate health hazard, which they're not. Take it from me, that's all I talk about. I mean, I wouldn't recommend drinking the blood. Is this video veering into a dark place? Blood fact, for a human, drinking too much blood is actually toxic. Excessive blood consumption, we're talking more than a couple of teaspoons, can lead to iron poisoning. Sorry, vampires. So even if pathogens somehow made it into the sewer system and slithered their way into a wastewater treatment plant, there is no way they're surviving the cleaning process. If you're not worried about period blood going down the drain, please tell me you're not. You don't need to be worried about corpse blood. You might remember that Mary Shelley kept her husband Percy's calcified heart in her possession until the day she died, and that Napoleon's desiccated phallus Carmen Sandiego'd around the world only to end up in the possession of a urologist in New Jersey. But those aren't tales from the 21st century. These days, if you ask your local funeral home to hand over the heart or member, will saying member stop this video from being demonetized? No, nothing will stop this video from being demonetized. Heart or member of your loved one for you after they die, they will decline that request. But what about teeth? In the 18th and 19th centuries, real human teeth were used for dentures. And where do you think those teeth came from? Puppies! Huh? No, it's corpses. The answer is always corpses. While grave robbers would often steal the teeth of the recently deceased, an abundance of corpse teeth came from the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, when Napoleon's French army was defeated by a British-led army and a Prussian army. With so many young, relatively healthy men dead on the battlefield, looters eagerly descended upon the dead to extract high-quality teeth for dentists willing to pay for their trouble. Obviously, we're not pulling corpse teeth to make dentures these days, but what about retrieving gold teeth from the jaw of a corpse that's going to be cremated?
Why, there's gold in them there mouths.
You'd think there would be a simple answer to this question. Remove tooth, burn corpse, hoard gold. But of course, it's not that simple. First of all, your local funeral director or crematory operator can't just go ripping grandma's gold teeth out of her head. That's illegal. And as a funeral director, I'm not licensed to practice dentistry, even if it probably wouldn't hurt grandma that much, seeing as she's dead. When families ask me if they can get gold teeth back after a cremation, which honestly doesn't happen that often, my simple response is, I don't feel comfortable extracting those teeth myself. But if you'd like to bring in a dental professional, I'd be happy to work with you, give you access to grandma, etc. And that's where the conversation usually ends, because finding an oral surgeon who's even willing to do this kind of extraction is not easy. And let's be honest, it's not likely to make financial sense. Let's do the numbers. The gold used in gold crowns is not pure 24-karat gold. That would be way too soft. It's an amalgam, which, depending on the quality, includes a percentage of gold, platinum, silver, and potentially indium, zinc, iridium, cobalt, or chromium. Usually you're looking at 1/10 of an ounce of 16-karat gold, but it's nearly impossible to tell without having the crown analyzed. You can't just tell from a dental x-ray. So the average goldish amalgam crown, price-wise, is as little as $25, as much as $80, with an average of about $50. So you might be thinking, cool, grandma has like 3 gold crowns, that's like 150 smacks. If you can find a dentist to extract those teeth from grandma's body, you're looking at paying in the range of $650 to $800. I mean, you do you. If these are family heirloom teeth somehow, I wholeheartedly support you, but you gotta ask yourself, is this all worth it? But what about just waiting for the corpse to get cremated and then pulling the gold from the ashes? At the approximately 1800 degrees Fahrenheit it takes to cremate a body, the 16 to 18 karat gold in the crown is definitely going to melt. The lower quality the gold, the lower the melting point. Once the gold liquefies and gets mixed in with the bone fragments, the two are indistinguishable. This may may change with the rise of alkaline hydrolysis, or aquamation, because all inorganic matter is left behind after the process, so gold crowns can be salvaged. In rare cases, you get a funeral director who goes off the rails, like Megan Hess in Colorado, who stole gold teeth and body parts, sold them, and used the profits to take her family to Disneyland. But no transparent, reputable, and reasonably priced funeral home is going to be stealing teeth. As always, if you're still worried about this, what's being done to your family member before burial or cremation, show up. Spend time with the body. See for yourself. Give yourself peace of mind. As I always say, corpses aren't scary. Living people are. I mean it. A few announcements for the class. We've revamped our Good Death store. We have new artists, new limited runs of clothing, new stickers, new products. We're working on collaborations with charities in the next couple of months as well. Our Instagram at the Good Death store is a good place to follow for those updates. The idea is that with Patreon, with our limited but still present AdSense, and the Good Death store, we'll be able to pay the people who work with me to make all this happen, and also consistently make meaningful donations to groups and nonprofits that share our death-positive values. See you next month for an entire month on cadaver crimes. It's going to be good. Subscribe, stay tuned, tell your mom she loves cadaver crimes. This video was made with generous donations from death enthusiasts just like you. Okay, here we go. Am I right? Corpse blood in our sewers? It's called Corpsey Cathy. The older the deader, the better. Nope. Pause for whirlybird. Oh yeah, some whirlybirds out today. All right, we're ready to move on to teeth, huh? Exciting. Puppies! Why is it hot? It's not hot outside, it's just hot in the prison of my mind. Big raven in the tree. Hi, Raven. My sister. Seems to be the life I've decided for myself.